Northwestern brings the Big Ten West to Pac-12 football. They win in this one 14-7. Ben Bryant looked like he was going to get a concussion and be out of the game. And whatever that backup quarterback, Helsinki, he just looked like when he went in the game, his eyes were so big. He looked like the moment was way too big for him. But Ben Bryant came back in, led the team to victory. So it was a good win for Northwestern. It's another one of those bowl games where Utah had a lot of guys out. Bryson Barnes, who's in the transfer portal, still decided to play. I don't know what that does for morale and motivation for their team. However, that was a contributing factor, I'm sure, to some of it. Rajiv, what were some of your thoughts on this game?
I think that I on my last rant, of course, I went off on Minnesota and how bad they are, but I think this Northwestern team deserves a ton of credit. I mean, you look at everything this team went through in the offseason and all the stuff around Fitzgerald and everything that was happening. I mean, you talk about 8-5 record. Braun deserves so much credit. These guys 8-5. I mean, you couldn't even find odds on that. If you ask about Northwestern winning 8 games this year, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And
doubled their season win total. They doubled.
Right. I mean, they're fighters. This team, like you'll see, it's ugly. It's an ugly game, 14-7, but they won the game, and they've been doing that all year. They've just been finding ways to win, and it's all about coaching. Every single game, if you watch any of their games this year, they outsmarted people so often. They outcoached, they out-schemed. They prepared more. You said, Jordan, earlier about want to. They want it more than other teams right now because kind of like the mentality that Michigan's playing right now with Michigan against the world, Northwestern was playing with that a lot too. After everything, their entire program was just torn down last summer. And everything that was Northwestern football and all the good that Fitzgerald did for that program kind of fell down quickly, rightfully so or not. I mean, that's a whole different debate, but I just feel like these guys really fought, and I give Northwestern a ton of credit. I'm actually really happy for them. I always root for Big Ten teams at bowl games because I want the record to be better.
Right.
But this was a game that I really wanted to see because I just feel like of all the teams in the Big Ten, I mean, you could give Braun Coach of the Year easily. I just feel like he has done such a great job. So kudos to them. Kudos to all the guys and all the fighters in Michigan State. I mean, Northwestern. They fought really hard all year, and all those players deserve to look at that record and be proud of it.
I agree. There was a tweet I made before the season. It was on the 20th of August. And before we get to you, Jordan, I just want to read this. I gave 3 options. I said, what would be the most unlikely thing to happen this season? Michigan State goes 3-9. Well, they went 4-8, so it was almost there. Northwestern has 6+ wins. Iowa goes to the college football playoffs. Michigan has an out-of-conference loss. 41% said Iowa goes to the CFP would be the most unlikely thing this season. However, Northwestern won 8 games. I put the bar at 6. Just go to a bowl game. And, granted, they did go to the bowl game with 7. But still, I mean, they won the bowl game. They got to 8. I look at this and I'm saying, look, David Braun took over a 1-11 team from last year. Deion Sanders took over a 1-11 team from last year. Everybody wants to talk about Deion this, Deion that. The dude had 6 players in his recruiting class, right? And he's going to go back to the transfer portal and try to do more of this nonsense that's not going to work. Stop talking about Deion Sanders and start talking about freaking David Braun, because David Braun is an amazing coach to have this happen. And Colorado's schedule wasn't that much more difficult than Northwestern's. Northwestern was able to do something fantastic. And this game just kind of encapsulated the whole moment. David Braun's season, how he's starting out there. I'm sure I'll probably dislike him in 3 or 4 years because he's going to do something to hurt my team. But for now, I think it was amazing. Jordan, what were your thoughts on this game?
I've never agreed with an Ohio State fan more than I do right now. Deion Sanders is getting all the praise that David Braun deserves. Yep. You said what you said, you encapsulated it perfectly. The dude found a way to take a team of guys who weren't supposed to win 4 games, go to a bowl game, and win 8 games against a good Pac-12 team who, by the way, won the last 2 Pac-12 titles.
And like, Kyle Whittingham is like a top 10 coach, a lot of people think, right?
Yes. That dude, that team's constantly good. And by the way, a little side note, the uniform in this game, that was perfect. Loved the purple with the Northwestern script against the Utah red. It was a perfect uniform matchup.
It was
Eyes on Big. We like to talk about the kits. Excellent one. But this Northwestern team too, and if you look at the social media aspect, it sounds like a lot of these players are coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've bought into what David Braun is selling, and good on him. The dude deserves it. Never been a head coach anywhere. Comes up from the FCS, just wants to be a D coordinator and gets thrown probably the worst situation that anybody's seen, and turns it around like nobody ever thought. Good on him. And everybody wants to make fun of the Big Ten West, and they want to talk smack about the Big Ten West. Oh, it's bad football. You want to talk trash about it until you're in one of those games.
Right.
And then you find yourself in a Big Ten West game and you don't know how to win it.
Yeah.
Because you got to be disciplined. You got to make plays to win those games. And guess what? The Big Ten West teams are good at doing it because they do it every damn week.
Yeah.
Good
the Big Ten West is still the Big Ten. I always like to say that. It's still the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
And they still play a lot of Big Ten East teams. We're still one big conference, and it is what it is.
They get trashed all the time. Until you're in that game with one of those teams, then you start to respect it a little bit more. And I think maybe Utah respects it a little bit more now.
Well, and that was the thing. David Braun had this whole season. He had technically sound team, right? He had a technically sound team on defense, especially on offense. They were iffy here and there, but they were able to be good enough on offense to get the wins that they needed to, like I said, win 7 games, ultimately 8 now through Utah. And to me, that's like the most impressive thing about it was he was able to get this team to not focus on Pat Fitzgerald, not focus. I mean, even some of the coaches I heard on the broadcast wore those like t-shirts for Pat Fitzgerald. I mean, he was able to like put that to the side and even get those guys to coach the players. I mean, just what David Braun this year did is just outstanding, and it's not getting far enough recognition. And I know, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the thing. I mean, you talk about taking a 1-11 team and turning them into 8 wins. You take a 1-11 team that had all this noise, around it. Most coaches don't get them to 3 wins. I mean, we were joking about it on our podcast too before the season started. We're like, God, Northwestern's going to maybe win 2. Like, it was a putrid situation for them. And we talked about Minnesota and like looking forward to the Big Ten and in the new Big Ten. Minnesota looks like a team in sort of going down. Northwestern looks like a team in the ascendancy, right? They all of a sudden just won 8 games with David Braun and what they're doing, and this is going to help drive their recruiting a little bit, right? This is going to help like embolden that team and bring all those guys together to say, look what we did this year. Now let's see what we can do next year. And Northwestern's going to continue to be what they've always been, which is a disruptive team that's going to piss off teams like ours that just, like you're like, oh, really? We're going to lose to this team? Like we've all of us right here, and I can all probably think of the same game you're thinking of. Every one of us has had that game against Northwestern that has crushed our season. That is like, I know exactly what Jordan's thinking of.
They're usually at Ryan Field, right?
Right. And that's the thing. That's what this team is. And they're going to continue to be that. And they're even going to get better. So, yeah, I'm just so impressed with everything they've done this year.
Well, the other part of it, too, with Braun is, like, if you look at the recruiting aspect of it, he owned what Northwestern is on recruiting. They're not going to be that team that's going to go chase these high 4-star, 5-star guys because he knows that academically Northwestern is different. A lot of schools, our academic standard. Northwestern they are that. Like there is that academic thing there, and he's owning that. So I'm going to go get my guys that fit my culture and want to be here for Northwestern. That's how that program is going to sustain. That's how that program is going to build. So the fact that he already gets that and is already saying that, I have high expectations for what he's going to do. And I hate to say it because that means, like you said, they're going to get somebody probably every single year that they shouldn't get.
And that's what I was going to bring up on the recruiting trail, Jordan, is like not only are they going out and getting guys who fit their program, but I mean, listen to the states they're going to get these. Connecticut, Illinois, obviously their state, Michigan, Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio, South Carolina, California, England. They went to England and got a guy, okay? I mean, they are going North Carolina, Kentucky. I mean, they're going to all these different states. And if you know anything about recruiting and how somebody needs to set up their recruiting bases, you have to go to different states and try to draw a pipeline from somewhere. And so if he's going to these different states and these different high schools to get some of these guys, it's only going to increase his relationship with the coaches there. And it's only going to help him further be able to recruit more and more. Like you said, Jordan, he's not going to get the top end talent guys, but he is going to get good players who fit his system, and it's going to be huge for them. Ultimate Boiler, let us know. What a wild year for Northwestern. Yes, totally agree. And he also said ESPN is schmoozing for Dion getting a 49th ranked recruiting class at Colorado. Blows my mind. Well, Deion Sanders sells right now. That's all it is. I mean, everybody clicks on it. Everybody wants to talk about him. And I don't personally get it. I don't, I'm not going to say I dislike Dion, but I don't want to hear about a bad
We'll
team
see how they
all
all
the
feel
time.
about him when he leaves after this next season, when his kids are gone on to Colorado and he looks for another job, because you know what's coming.
Yeah, yeah. He's going to be gone eventually, so we'll see where it goes from there. Hey, thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.